Greetings, MFL Year 33 members. Sorry for the delay. We had some holiday festivities last week and came back to some company this week, and space has been a little limited, so it took me a minute to get this together, but we're going to make it happen. This is your Week 12 update, even though Week 13 is already partially underway. Looking at the matchups here real quick, Hoopton, pretty strong performance together against Leavenworth. Leavenworth's going to need some help to get in now. Hoopton at 6-6 has set themselves up okay, but based upon the start of Week 13, who knows? I think there's a chance Hoopton doesn't make it, but this team has never really had that vibe of a team that's, even if we make it, going to be able to make much noise, but we'll see. Leavenworth definitely underperformed here a little bit and probably going to need some help to get in, that's for sure. Cleveland puts a nice week together. In fact, they were the best manager this week with 97% efficiency, scored 154 points, and lost to, again, one of the better teams this season, who is now 9-3, the West Canaan Coyotes. We've got some powerhouses. We've got probably three teams easy that have every intention of pulling this thing together and winning it. Cleveland's still been pretty hot. They are 6-6 and can still get in. So anything can happen, and that's a pretty strong performance right there. That actually, there are some leagues that play against the league average, and this is one of those moments where if we did that, then this loss wouldn't hurt quite so bad. But no worries. Definitely not suggesting that, but just throwing that out there. So yeah, West Canaan 9-3, sitting pretty, trying to get a bye week if that works out for them. The Army is 7-5, and they just get smoked by Big D. Kevin's team is now 9-3 also. I have not looked to see who won between Big D and West Canaan, but that is likely going to be the first tiebreaker as it relates to figuring out who's ahead of whom between those two teams. But both teams definitely in the playoffs. Army is in the playoffs, trying to fight for a better seed perhaps, and did not do so this week. The Gray Squirrels come through and beat the Quake NATOs, who are 8-4. They're going to be fine. Maybe slipped a little as it relates to some of the seeding this week, but for the defending champs, that's got to feel pretty good. And again, even though they're 4-8, not dead, not completely dead yet. Just going to need some help for sure. Kansas City moves to 6-6. CDs is pretty much done. I would ask them to go ahead and set their lineups, make sure they're giving everybody a fair shake the rest of the year. But I don't think there's any way they make it into the playoffs. You should remember, though, that in the consolation bracket, we do compete for some rookie money. Winners typically get 3 points of rookie money going into next year. So stay active, kind of keep putting those lineups together and stack a little bit of rookie money together. And again, if you win all 3 weeks, that's 9 points. And that's not terrible. That's $4.5 million in the old days. So looks like our first kind of full eliminated team is CDs. They haven't really caught a good break this season and really didn't do too bad this week, but just not quite enough. So Kansas City sitting pretty nice. All they got to do is win one more. Here is Toledo Tube Steaks, also still not dead, maybe getting hot at just the right time, putting together a nice week and defeating San Antonio, who's now kind of on that bubble. They're going to have to really string together a couple of wins, I think, or they're going to maybe need again some help. I think 6-8 is the get help, to use the Marvel Cinematic Universe phrase. 7-7, no help needed. You're in, just a matter of where. So here is our standings. I'd have to see who won between Big D and West Canaan, but if those two want to check that out, that's the first tiebreaker. There's a whole video with tiebreakers, by the way. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Here's the Quake NATOs, still sitting pretty nice. Possibly could still get a bye, but less likely now, that's for sure. Here's the Army. And then here are 3 teams at 6-6. So, if the playoffs were today, we'd have 7 teams. We'd only have 1 team with a bye, which would be kind of the split between Big D and West Canaan here. But still a little ways to go. These next 2 weeks, again, things tend to shake out a little bit. And we really just don't have this awful team as we usually, sometimes have a 0-12 or something like that. Not so much this year. Everybody's pretty much competing, and I love that. I was noticing here on our standings, it does give you the waiver money that everyone has available, and just remember that is a full carryover in the next year. So notice Hoopton here has 25. If they carry that over in the next year, add that to some rookie money that maybe they win in a consolation bracket, make some silent bids, you can kind of stack up a little extra money that way. So keep that in mind, especially if you're trying to cut people, pick up people. Spend those dollars wisely. Best manager was Cleveland. Worst manager was Coach Dye. And I just want to point out there's only 3 points difference here between what Coach Dye, the Hoopton Cornjoker, scored and Ethan scored. So a pretty efficient week, I think, overall. That's for sure. Kevin and the Big D just blew out the Army. That was the biggest blowout of the week. Chance still really trying to hang in there, but narrowest loss to the Ass Kickers. Highest scorer, again, West Canaan. I haven't gone back and looked, but I feel like they've won. They and Tulsa have probably won more of those than anybody. Speaking of Tulsa, they were the lowest scorer this week. So, those statistical anomalies happen. But yeah, it looks like lowest scorer, 91 points, but not the least efficient. The least efficient, again, scored 151. So interesting how that works out. West Canaan was the overachiever of the week. Tulsa was the underachiever of the week. QB of the week was Jameis Winston. Who would have thought that would be a thing? Jahmyr Gibbs just crushes it. I'd probably have to look. That was very likely a record-setting performance. 55 points is right up there with the best weeks ever. Look at this Tennessee wide receiver here, who is wide receiver of the week. And John Toll started him. Nice call. Good work. Trey McBride has been the tight end of the week more than once. I'm convinced he's probably the best one out there when he's scoring touchdowns. Kicker of the week. I take a lot of grief at home for having this guy on my roster because of his politics. But you know what? He kicks the ball. He scores points. And that's really all I care about as it relates to fantasy football. Here is the defense of the week. Packers, we won't spend too much time on that. Bench warmer of the week, Cam Ward. That kind of goes with that wide receiver that we were talking about. Look at Etienne, though, on the bench with 20 points. Chance, maybe it would have made a difference. Probably would have made a difference, actually, had he been in there. Here's a Dortch sighting and a Hunter Henry sighting. Interesting, again, that some of these guys, you look and you're kind of shocked that they're not in a lineup somewhere, but probably, again, means that those people are very deep. Here is Evan McPherson, a kicker and a defense, which we're not going to spend too much time on. Let's jump to week 13, which, again, is already underway a little bit. There's a game today, Bears and Eagles. We've already had 3 games, so this will be one of the rare instances where I think our lineups are probably pretty accurate and our projections are probably pretty accurate. So week 13 looks like Tulsa's going to take care of Hoopton. Hoopton caught a bad break. Amon-Ra St. Brown went down yesterday, scored 0. That's never a good thing. If there was one player we were kind of hanging our hat on, that's probably who it was. So if Hoopton loses this week, they will pretty much have to win next week. So the playoffs will start a little earlier for them. And I've not looked ahead to see who they play, but there will need to be some pretty serious lineup assessment going on with Amon-Ra out and needing the win next week if that's the way this turns out. And you have to understand, if Tulsa just had their worst week ever, pretty much last week, week 12, they are likely to bounce back and have a pretty good week the next week. That's the way that works. So that's okay. We'll work it out. Here's that matchup I was talking about, which I should have just looked ahead at. Winner of this one very likely will get that number 1 seed and get a bye week. Unless we have 8 teams in the playoffs, then there's no byes. But unlikely that that's going to happen. So yeah, right now it looks like Big D is in the lead, or no, I guess in the projected lead at 155 to 144, but in the actual lead down by exactly a point. So that's a monster matchup to decide who's going to be at the top of the standings. And I've been in both places. I've been at the bottom and won it, and I've been at the top and laid an egg. And I don't know that I necessarily like being at the top. That's a lot of pressure. So good luck to the winner there. Here's Cleveland again, just rolling, and the Army kind of reeling. Started off hot, but has not been good lately. So if Cleveland can get that win, which it looks like they're about to, that'll clinch a playoff spot for them. Here's Leavenworth just playing it straight. The loser of this one is out, and maybe even the winner too. But 2, 4, and 8 teams here, and if one of these teams loses, that team will be eliminated. If the other team that wins can get to 6 wins, then if that 6th place seeding is a bunch of 6 and 8 teams, then maybe they've got a chance to get in. But chances are it will not be that way. It would be a little weird if that happened. Here's Toledo again, now one of the hottest teams. They were pretty cold at the start, but they're coming on. And if they can win this week, they will have a win and get in scenario next week. So they've got a pretty good chance, it looks like, based on projections. Same thing with San Antonio. If they can take care of the ass kickers here, then there will be a lot of 6 and 7 teams trying to get in into the playoffs next week. Let's just look here real quick. Hoopton gets the defending champions next week. This will be the last week of the regular season, so week 14. I was just trying to see if there was any teams that might need to play each other. This one's going to be pretty interesting, actually. The last week will probably be the only real interesting one. Toledo against Kansas City. That one might be, if it's 2, 6, and 7 teams, the winner gets in. The loser probably doesn't. So that might be an early playoff matchup there in week 14. But anyway, week 13, we're kind of set and rolling. And week 12, we got recapped. So yeah, just keep on setting those lineups. And I think our trade deadline maybe has passed now. So there won't be really any need for trades or anything. If you do have questions about it, of course, you can always ask me. But I think we're all rolling with what we've got. At least one rule change for next year. It's not really a change. It's more of a rule introduction. So once we get into the playoffs a little bit and things start shaking out, we'll start talking about next year as well. So you guys, I want you to know, have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Mine was amazing. I spent the whole day chopping up stuff and cooking and drank probably a little too much wine, which, actually I ended up cutting my thumb, probably because I shouldn't be drinking so much wine while I'm chopping up things. So public service announcement, take care of yourself out there. But just some really good times last week with my family in Oklahoma, this week with my family here in Colorado, and looking forward to just a really cool holiday season. So stay safe out there. If I've said that too much, I'll say it again. And I'll just plan on catching up with you guys next week with another video update.